I'm John. I'm the client development specialist here at A2V Media.
I'm EJ. I'm the artistic director and choreographer here at A2V Media.
Yeah, and today we're just kind of talking a little bit about A2V Media and what we do here, and some of the customer success stories we've had over the years. I mean, we have a lot, so that's good. And you've been on quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many different clients and projects and personalities, we'll say.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because, a lot of people might not know, not only do you have to deal with personalities on set, but also behind the scenes, trying to, get contracts signed and all this other stuff. So, I mean, you get all sides of it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm usually part of the first stages of any contract or collaboration, as we like to call it, because what we do with our clients is not just one-sided. It's always a collaboration. There's always a back and forth. There's always magic and conversation. So
and of course you want to get like that scope down, set the expectations with the customer, make sure.
Yeah, there's always getting the ideas and their visions out, but also kind of reminding them that in the moment situations and being open to other potential things happening is also a huge part of working the collaboration with clients. So.
And of course, like one of the specialties that you bring to us is your choreography background, right? Can you talk a little bit about that and like how you got that expertise and how you developed your skill set?
Yeah. So I grew up as a dancer. I trained for 20 plus years before I got my first professional gig, which was in New York City for a contemporary ballet company, and did that for 5 years. And then I moved on to cruise ship life with Royal Caribbean for 5 years and got to see the world and dance various styles and meet amazing people. And I'd always been teaching here and there. And so there was an opportunity when I retired from the cruise ships to go back to teaching, and that's how I met Alex. And so we worked together and we just always became friends, him and his wife and my partner and I. And an opportunity arose for me to become involved in a creative music video, which was not something I thought was going to be part of my career, but absolutely was a blessing. And it was an experience for sure. And it was a great opportunity because I got to hire some of my dance friends to be part of the video, but it was also a learning experience of, demands and creativity and all of the things that happen behind the scenes. So. And
do you have, you mentioned you did that ballet in New York for a few years. Can you talk about what were some of your influences in ballet? Are there any particular practitioners that you're particularly fond of that influenced you to want to pursue that?
Well, it wasn't necessarily a strict ballet company. I just want to put that out there. It's not like an ABT or a New York City Ballet. This was contemporary ballet. So we were closer to the modern-esque side of things. The directors of the company I danced for Paul Taylor, which is a pioneer in the dance world. Yeah. So my influences growing up, number one was Vera Ellen from White Christmas. Sure. I used to watch that movie 1,000 times, a year, and always just wanted to dance like her and be like her. But then I found the studio, and the owner of the studio, her name was Lee Lund. She herself had such an extensive career, from the Sonny and Cher show to the movie Bedknobs and Broomsticks to Best Little Horse in Texas. I mean, she did it all. And her ex-husband, Jaime Rogers, was also a very well-known choreographer, dancer. He himself was in West Side Story. He was one of the Sharks.
Wow.
So again, extensive resumes and backgrounds. Ben Vereen, who is still with us today, thank God, who's done thousands of different pieces of work. He and Jaime Rogers worked together very closely for a number of years in California. So I had a really great influence growing up at the studio I danced at and then worked at, to give me that passion and that drive to continue it outside of the school years. Yeah.
I mean, the most I know about ballet is Nutcracker and the movie Black Swan.
Oh, yeah. Fortunately, I'm happy to say I never did the Nutcracker. not that I haven't seen it 1,000
Sure.
times over, and I
Yeah.
have a great appreciation for it, but just not my jam.
Gotcha.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned you were, part of the cruise industry for a few years.
Yes.
Can you talk about some like the exotic locations you got to visit, and what were those experiences like?
It was honestly, if I could have ever imagined a perfect job, working for Royal Caribbean was probably the perfect job. You did what you loved every day, and you got paid for it. And it wasn't like, here's some like crumbs for that we're gonna call pay. It was like they valued you, they appreciated you, and then an extra added bonus onto all that is we're not going to take you around the world. And we're going to allow you to see the world. And then the plus side of it is all the amazing people that you get to work with and meet. And I say that I have friends all around the world, and I truly do. I was just actually reached out to a friend of mine this morning who lives in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, okay, great.
That's really cool.
So
yeah,
it was, again, it was.
Did you have any favorite locations that you got to visit? Like, were there any like check boxes on your bucket list that you're like, oh, I've always wanted to visit here and I got to?
I never had that because growing up I never traveled. Okay. So any place was like a bucket list, sure. Type of thing. I get that question a lot of like, where's your favorite places? And I've been able to kind of narrow it down, but I don't necessarily feel like those are the only top three. So Barcelona.
Wow.
Amazing. Kusadasi.
Cool.
In Turkey. And then a little island called Villefranche, which is like, I never imagined that I would go to a place and feel like I was literally on a movie set. Like cobblestones, like the brick buildings, like people literally riding around on bicycles with baguettes in the baskets, and then like you see the nonas like on the, the terraces, like yelling at each other. Like it was just, I was like, I literally feel like this is not real right now. So that in itself was, again, I think that's why it's part of my top three.
Sure, yeah. And Barcelona, I mean, did you get to do things like, try food, running on the balls, anything like that?
No, we didn't do that. But I mean, obviously, like we ate a lot of food there. And like we got to go to Gaudi Park and we got to go to, St. Christopher Street, which is like the main square in Barcelona where you see all the street performers and, you get like, if you think of like Oktoberfest, you know how they have like huge steins,
pints, yeah.
Right? Well, beyond pints, they're like the
big,
massive ones.
Yeah.
They serve like sangria like that. So you just have like a pitcher of sangria like this with a straw, and you're just like, this is so awkward. So, but yes, that's
awesome.
how they. So again, the small little fun things in there.
Yeah, sure. And so then you mentioned you came back from working with Royal Caribbean, and then you got working with Alex and A2V Media with the music video. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
Who the music video was with and how we got introduced to them and all that stuff.
So there's an artist, his name is Jan Close, and Alex had done some other videos and worked with him previously with Honey Rose Records. So it was right after the pandemic, the fatal, sure. Nobody can like live. So the pandemic happens and Honey Rose Records and Jan reaches out to Alex and was like, listen, Jan's like, I wrote this song with this other writer. Her name is Alex Forbes. We think it's got like a really good vibe. It's like a little bit poppier than the normal stuff that we do. We'd love to do a music video on it. And so Alex is like, who do I know that could do this? And so he called me up. He's like, hey, are you interested? I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? Like, let's see how this goes. Right. So we were on like a bunch of calls with Maury and Jan and Alex, and kind of coming up with concept and trying to understand like what the song was about and what their vision was for it. And it ended up being this like really awesome kind of like Alice in Wonderland type of like situation where it's like you've just fallen down a rabbit hole and you're taken into a different life and a different world. And that was kind of where everybody was during the pandemic. And after the pandemic, you're kind of like, wait, is this life again?
Sure.
Is it not life again? Yep. And so, like Alex is like, all right, how quickly does this have to be done? And they're like, in a month. And I'm like, oh, wow. So my task was to choreograph the song, find the dancers. Alex was finding the location, And, you know, then what was like the look of it? Like, what are people going to be wearing? How, like, you know, we had found this great club, empty club. Well, maybe it's not like a club, but like a, I don't know, what would you call it? Just like a hall that people can rent,
Sure.
basically.
That like a banquet hall, yeah.
Yeah, kind of. But it was like a little bit jazzier. It was like a
Gotcha.
little bit, it wasn't so like bland and
Right.
you're like, oh, you like your Nana's like, you know, curtains are hanging up or something like that. It was actually had like a cool vibe to it.
Cool.
So we're like, okay, how do we transport this into, you know, this place and this idea? So yeah, so Alex found the location. We got Jan and Maury, the owner of Honey Rose Records, on board with it. And then it was like, okay, we're supposed to have these two different personas that are happening, you know, not only with Jan while he's singing, but also with the people around him. It's like, you know, the video starts off with everybody very uptight and closed off, and they actually are wearing masks on their eyes, not those masks, but it was very symbolic of the time.
Sure.
Of like, you know, without it being so literal, we did make it somewhat, you know, relevant. And then as like the song progresses, and again, as like the pandemic started to end and people started coming out, like the energy changed, the vibe changed. Like these individuals went from these like colorless clothing to masks on to like shut off with each other to just like breaking out and, you know, coming out of the rabbit hole basically. And it created a sensation, which was what we hoped for, but we didn't know if that was actually going to happen.
Sure.
And yeah, that was good. That's the long and short of it, I guess. Yeah.
No, it sounds exciting. And then you had a chance to work with some of your dancer friends. What was that like, recruiting them?
It was fun. It was really great. You know, the dance community is really beautiful, and whenever there's an opportunity to get people to do something different and, you know, fun and creative, like, you know, you're gonna have a good time. And what the interesting part is that male dancers are usually the hardest ones to find. And we actually were able to recruit non-dancers, but get them to actually move and learn the choreography, which was, you know, a blessing. You know, you always are like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have the camera on them. We'll just kind of like fake it, you know, just like when they're standing, we can get the shots of them. But yeah, it was a great experience. You know, I joke around with my best friend who was actually in the video, and she was kind of like the lead girl in the video. I was like, Tara, you're a video vixen now. And she was like, oh my gosh. So it's great to be able to do that for with your friends, really. Sure. So,
and like, if nothing else, I mean, you're creating that, you know, almost that community with those dancers, and, you know, kind of showcasing that for everybody, you know?
Yeah.
You know.
So again, opportunities are always great, and especially when you can do them with your friends, you're like, why not? Makes it again 10 times better. Yeah. So yeah.
So did everything on the shoot go smooth? Like, were there any unexpected surprises that you guys kind of ran into, other than I know you said the men was one thing.
Yeah. No, actually, luckily, like, the shoot went really well. I mean, it took a little bit longer, obviously, than you planned, but again, it happened for a reason. It was our first time, like, you know, in this environment. Again, we had only a month to like get these dancers rehearsed, to like get the looks and like everything together before we shot this video. So for the amount of time that it took us to run over by 2 hours filming, yeah, great. We'll take that. I don't know. There wasn't really any major flubs or falls or anything like that. And anytime that we had downtime during the video shoot, like while the dancers were changing from one look to another look, you know, A2V was just filming behind the scenes stuff and getting some promo stuff with Jan, and, you know, grabbing all these little extra things. So no time was actually wasted.
Yeah.
You know, it was always something going on. So I'm backstage with the dancers going like, slick your hair back, put your red lipstick on, like get your eyeliner, you know, like doing all those things. Be like, why are you wearing that? You should be wearing that. Alex was like, chill. JT, were you there?
Yeah, I was getting B-roll.
Yeah, so JT was there also. And like, again, there wasn't wasted time. So it wasn't as if like, if the dancers and Jan weren't on set, nothing was happening. There was always something happening. Like, we were working promo stuff for them, again, getting behind the scenes, getting B-roll, just so there was more than just a music video being created that day. So
wanted to make an experience.
Yeah, and again, you know, when you're doing the music video, you don't want to just like have the music video and that be it. Like to have like, again, some sneak peeks and little cuts here and there to be able to like tease it before the full release, you know, it sparks people's interest. And I think that's what made this video really successful as well, is that Jan had enough material to put on his social media without giving it away.
That's awesome.
So no downtime, really.
So what are some dream projects that you'd love to work on in the future, either with A2V Media? Like what are some dream setups that you'd like to see happen down the road?
Obviously I would love to continue to do some more music videos.
Sure.
And I think, again, just to touch slightly back on the Jan thing, we were able to do 2 other music videos with him, which was great.
Oh, wow.
And then we actually did a live performance, which again, great opportunities for me able to use dancers from the studio I grew up dancing at to be part of the live performance. So it was really cool to have that transition from video to performance, you know, and bring the music video alive. So I would love to do more of that type of stuff with A2V, and I think that the way they work, again, I use the word collaboration because it truly is. It's not our clients telling us what to do, and it's not us telling the clients what to do, but we're really working together to create something that we're excited for the clients to see and the clients are excited to have and to use. So any opportunity to do that on the creative end, I'm looking forward to and open to.